United, together, here we stand. Sumana, Ashley, Felipe, your workplace wellness hour band, where culture meets health and wisdom takes hold. Fresh perspectives and insights unfold, building stronger teams, brighter paths ahead, a workplace where passion and purpose are fed. Join us, engage and elevate your game. Wellness that works puts growth in the frame. Works puts growth in the frame. Mental clarity, physical strength, financial insight, tools and strategies that get it right. Real stories, real growth, real change that lasts. Practical guidance that moves you fast. Workplace wellness hour, bring substance and spark. Together we flourish, together we make our mark. Building stronger teams, brighter paths ahead, a workplace where passion and purpose are fed. Join us, engage and elevate your game. Wellness that works puts growth in the frame. That works puts growth in the frame. So mark your calendar, answer the call. Workplace wellness, practical magic for all.
And hello. Welcome everyone to another Workplace Wellness Hour. Today is November 10th, 2025. And I'm here with my amazing co-hosts, Sumana Jeddy and Ashley Fluellen. And I am Felipe Cofiño. And we are here for part 2 of the unseen luggage. How do we take the luggage from home and then take it to work and vice versa? And with us today, we have Kairistie Walker, who is coming back for round 2 of this discussion. Round 1 was a great conversation. We had some great questions, and we wanted to make sure that we had a chance to answer all those questions. So Kairistie was kind enough to come back with us today to have a part 2. So thank you all that have come in already. It's great to see so many of you already here. Melissa Houston, my partner in crime for our Sunday show, Careers Casting and Coaching. It's great to see William Rochelle on YouTube. Thank you, my friend Bill. And it's great to see Kairistie Walker. Kairistie Williams, forgive me. It's great to see you there, and thank you for being such a great supporter as always. Kenny, it's always wonderful to see Kenneth Thunder, another great supporter of the room. And buenas tardes, Martha, my social Saturday chat buddy. It's great to see you. And of course, Leslie Flowers, our wonderful friend, our collaborator, our creator and author of the LinkedIn TV Guy, I call it, because she promotes all these shows that we do here and lets everyone know when they're happening. So it's wonderful to see that. Kimberly, it's always wonderful to see you again. Jackie Hallberg and Lisa Fevick, who is definitely the woman who talks about women's health and specifically about menopause. I think it's so educational for men and women to learn from her and all the great information she shares. And of course, our friend Gregory Liverpool. So listen, you all, thank you for joining us. Please let us know where you're watching from. Let us know also if you're watching live or team replay, of course, because we love to hear the comments from people watching team replay because we do try to get back to them. And let us know also, or by all means, repost the room with your network. Let them know that we're going on live and what's going on, and that so they can join the conversation and hopefully have some good takeaways. Oh, and hello to Jeremy. It's great to see you, Jeremy, and my friend. It's always wonderful to have you join us. All right, with that being said, let's do a little introduction to you, Sumana and Ashley, before we get to our wonderful guest here. It's been a couple of weeks. Last time we chatted, I was dodging cars like Frogger, and I was riding subway trains home and trying to make sure that the show did not close out. So I didn't get a chance to talk with you all, but how have you all been, and what's been going on, and what are you excited about this topic today? Sumana, over to you.
Oh, thank you so much, Felipe. Welcome, everybody. So nice to have everyone back here on Monday night. I can't believe it's been 2 weeks already. I did love the shout out to Calgary, Felipe. I noticed that in the intro video. That was really pleasant. So thank you for doing that and for spotlighting Kairistie as well. Just really delighted to be here for part two. I know we don't do a lot of these sessions, but this was one that was a fan favorite, so we had to bring. I'm really grateful to have Kairistie back as well to just continue the conversation on the unseen luggage. With respect to what's going on, I'm traveling a little bit, not too far away from Calgary, just in Edmonton, just for a couple of days. So I'm sitting in my in the guest bedroom of my brother's house while I'm doing the show. So a little bit of a different space. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Sumana Jeddy. I am the founder and CEO of Jeddy Wellness. We design evidence-based workplace wellness solutions, and we work primarily with businesses. And for the last little while, most of our clients have been universities. So that's what I have been working on. And I would love to pass the mic over to Ashley. And then Ashley, you can just introduce or just say hello to Kairistie, and we can hear some words from her as well. Over
Sounds good. Thank you, Sumana. And I'm glad to hear that you're getting some nice family time. Like sitting in your brother's house sounds lovely. So I love that that's what you're doing. Hello, everybody. I'm so excited to be here tonight, and agreed, I'm very happy that we have Kairistie on again. Last week, we were able to learn so much, just in the little bit of time that we had. So I'm excited that we're getting a part two on that. To introduce myself, hello, I'm Ashley Fluellen. I'm an artist and the founder of Dear Imperfect Artist, which is a budding online community that helps artists of all levels reclaim the joy of making and develop sustainable creative practices. This looks a couple of ways right now. As of now, we have a Discord channel that houses our programming, which includes a collaborative sketchbook project that connects artists across distance. And then every week on Sundays, we are meeting to create alongside each other. And I'm so excited because my partner and I just got started on editing our Dear Imperfect Artist YouTube series. So that will be coming very soon, and I'm really excited to share that with you all. And I have the honor of introducing our guest tonight. So I will pass the mic over to Kairistie to reintroduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you.
As she's very paranoid as to whether or not this is working.
You
Can
sound
hear me?
great.
It's working.
Hey. Thank you, everyone. I'm so grateful to be back. I think this is a really important topic that is very much misunderstood. I don't think there's a proper amount of education out there just within the different democratic and otherwise systems. That whether it's organizational, so workplace, excuse me, or personal, because we don't stop being humans as soon as we cross the threshold. So just to give a hint of a background, so yes, my name is Kairistie Walker. I'm the founder of The Experience, which you can visit my website at experienceadr.com. And ADR stands for Alternative Dispute Resolution, which is a big umbrella term that houses a number of different dispute resolution processes. It can be collaborative law, mediation, arbitration, a hybrid of the two. So it can be mediation into arbitration, or flip it. Arbitration happens first, and then it flows into mediation, to workplace restoration, and a number of different other practices within a lot of different legal jurisdictions, like in Canada, for example. But I'm pretty confident around the UK, European Union, as well as many states in the US, due to the effectiveness of most ADR formats, not all, but most, many legal jurisdictions have not only just begun to heavily suggest using someone like myself and processes that I practice, but they've made it actually part of statute, so legally mandated that in the very least needs to be part of the first response, whether that is people, and this is within civil and family realms, so people, organizations, groups either go to someone like myself on their own or petition the courts, and the courts then out pretty much right out of the gate are stating that you have to contact, both sides have to contact someone like myself and decide which format works best for the matters that they're dealing with. So within this, bringing it back into more of a workplace or organizational standpoint, a lot of things that we tend to forget about, like we were talking about or trying to talk about last time we were live, is literally the expectation of stopping, of being a human as soon as you cross that threshold into the professional realm. It's not realistic. You can't stop humanity just because you're crossing a door. Bringing our whole selves to work isn't just good for people, it's good for business. When we support each other through life's challenges, we build workplaces and organizations where everyone can thrive. That includes the business. We want success regardless for our personal selves as well as for the organization, or plural, that we're helping. And tonight I'd like to bring us on another bit of a journey where it begins with a story, and this story may sound a little familiar because it's very much what many people have or will go through within their lifetime, at least once, because it's woven within real life experiences of people and organizations, not just across Canada, but the Commonwealth, nations, most democracies, and other places around the world, legal jurisdictions around the world. It's a story about the intersection of personal challenges and professional life, about the ripple effects of separation, health issues, and often really the silent challenges and transitions of life and professional life. But the ripple effects of a separation and divorce, or the health issues like we spoke about last time, perimenopause, menopause, which then also andropause, which affects men, and how we tend to just try to stop it at the door. Oh no, we've got to block out feelings. It's just business, not personal, is one of the biggest things that are often said, used to quiet down, or an attempt to quiet down feelings. Even if somebody is silent, it usually means that they've just shut down, but it doesn't mean that feelings aren't happening. If somebody's angry, their feelings are there, loud and clear. If somebody's crying, it's the same thing. Again, we cannot stop humanity when we're dealing with human beings. Does this not all sound familiar within my fellow people here? Sumna?
100%. 100%. Go ahead, Felipe.
Okay. Sorry, not to
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
So it's also a story about how organizations within the right support system, support hubs, and I'm thinking, at least in part, HR departments, and when there isn't an official HR department, the leaders within that, or leader within that organization. It doesn't matter if it's a mom and pop or if we're talking about multinational conglomerates. These challenges need to be turned into opportunities for growth, connection, and restoration, or ideally, where it's, where we're able to, from nascent beginnings. not even opened your door yet. Let's start putting the right culture, the right parameters, pillars in place, because this is going to happen. It's just like conflict is going to happen. You cannot stop it. Let's put in systems in place to help support healthy conflict, healthy communication, healthy success, which means success, which means also monetary success. But this isn't just a one-person story. It's a call to action for all of us to recognize that the humanity within our colleagues, to build bridges between personal and professional, and to leverage the expertise of partners like myself in on my website, like I said, experienceadr.com, to create workplaces where everyone can thrive. That's the ideal, right? So before we go into the story, let's pause to consider why these stories matter. Research and practice show that not only is this important to bring in the human aspect, it's a catalyst for empathy, trust, and change. When leaders and organizations embrace personal matters or narratives, they make leadership more reliable and trustworthy, enable knowledge sharing and problem solving, strengthen workplace relationships and team cohesion, foster innovation by shifting perspectives, and create space for vulnerability. Go figure. Being vulnerable is a strength. It's not something to be guilted, feel ashamed of, hide away in a corner. It's about learning. It's about growth. It's about evolving. So the best way that we can share these stories is sharing the real, lived, and deeply human narratives. So I'd like to use a story around an individual at a life crossroad. So I introduce Alex. And forgive me, I've changed names. This is pulled from a number of different case files. I'm not using proper names or any information because I've got to protect, of course, confidentiality, so on and so forth. Alex is roughly midlife, career professional, project manager at an engineering firm. They're known for diligence and due diligence, and a dry sense of humor. Also, like many of us, carrying a huge weight beneath the surface. We think that we're hiding things or separating, quote unquote, personal versus professional. We're not. Recently, Alex's marriage, about over 15 years, ended in a separation. The process has been emotionally draining, logistically complex, and financially stressful. At the same time, Alex has been managing a chronic health condition, so type 2 diabetes, which sometimes flares up unpredictably and requires medical appointments and attention and careful self-management. And with it, as though that's not enough, Alex has begun experiencing the symptoms of perimenopause. So I'm just going to use the typical mainstream talking word points, forgive me. So hot flashes, insomnia, brain fog, roller coaster of emotions, things just don't feel right. Body just isn't what they thought it was supposed to be, which is what it was a week ago, so to speak. Just doesn't feel the same, doesn't feel right. So not a unique story. There's, again, hidden struggles. The question is, how do these personal matters ripple into the workplace? What kind of things can organizations do to support employees like Alex without overstepping? Because we're always afraid. We don't want to insult or insinuate. Of course, the intentions are always there, and vast, like 99 point whatever percentage, well-intended, period. So what is it that organizations should be doing? So I'm going to put this back to on the hot seat. Sumana, Ashley, Felipe, what do you guys think? What would you be doing in a situation like this when you've gotten a little bit of knowledge around this on a fellow colleague?
And you're talking about the fact that they are having marital problems. They're I can't even say the word out. I'm not pronouncing it yet.
Hormonal matters, hormonal and medical, like an ongoing chronic condition of type 2 diabetes.
So, am I their manager? Am I their HR person? Who am I?
Good question. How does that matter?
I'm just asking for my answer because, as far as HR, people are much more forthcoming to me when they come to me as HR. That may not be the case for all HR people, but I've learned that when people trust their HR person, which I know is not everyone, they tend to overshare. So let me just start off by saying that. But my answer to you about this here, I think, really is where whoever it is, whether it's the manager, the HR person, the CEO, colleague, you're not a medical professional. I mean, unless you're talking to a doctor, then you work in the hospital, of course. But and so it's one thing to be there to listen, support somebody, to guide them to resources that maybe the employer does offer, like EAP or therapy or any kind of doctors that might help them with their condition within our plan. That can be a colleague, a manager, or HR. But there is a level of support and help that someone can take only so far. And I think it's being aware of when to guide them towards more professional help versus things that you really can't do or control. Even as an HR professional, as an executive, I can't just change a policy mid-year for one employee. There's times during the year when we can do that. So what can we do today to help this person through this time period until there can be something more beneficial down the road? That's my 2 cents there. I'm sure there's so much more that we can unpack there, but I want to give Sumana and Ashley a chance to share. I know we have some other questions for you, Kairistie, but Sumana, over to you.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I also just want to acknowledge that, Felipe, you haven't introduced yourself, so maybe at some point you should do that, even though a lot of people know you. Might be good to just get that introduction out of the way at some point. I see a lot of comments as well in the chat box. I love listening to you, Kairistie. I think not as an HR person, but just as a colleague, not even as a manager, but just as a colleague that works in the same work environment. If someone were to come to me and share something personal, like a chronic illness or a relationship issue, like that work-life spillover that we were talking about last time, I was actually talking to a friend about it just today, and I said there's a few things that I might do, and one would be, obviously show some compassion and say I'm here to listen, and if that's all you want me to do, just listen with no judgment. Sometimes people just want to come and just vent and say, you know what, I just want to vent. I don't want anything from you. I just want to, hear you validate me. So there's that other option, and I've tried that with some folks. And then the third thing could be, and if I'm able to, which in this situation I might not be able to because I don't have the experience, is to share perspective on the chronic illness or on the issue that is being discussed. So I think the option of just saying that I'm either here to listen to you, I'm happy to listen to you, I'm happy to listen to you vent, and I'm happy to share some perspective if I have those resources available, would be where I would start. And in addition to doing that, I would obviously say, what can I help you with? This is something that we talked about a little bit last time, and it also came up actually in the Career Summit or the weekend, is what do you do when someone comes to you and they're looking for some support, and you might be battling some of your own issues, and saying something as simple as, what can I do to help you? And that could be as simple as, let me Google some information, or like try to find some resources for you within the organization or outside the organization. So understanding your capacity and your capabilities at that time comes very handy. And sometimes people just want to hear that I can help you, or I'm able to find someone to help you. So words like that are really powerful in those situations. But most times people just want to talk. They just want to talk, and they want you to listen without any judgment. And I've had my door, when I say my office door is always open for you, in the past when I did have an office door, I would say, this is what I would offer, is come share whatever you want to share, and I'm not here to judge you. So those would be sort of those three kind of big buckets. I'm happy to hear Ashley's thoughts, and then I'll pass it back to Felipe to sort of moderate where we want to go next here.
Yeah, Sumana, I love how you offered kind of three offerings that you might be able to give as a manager or even as a colleague, because I agree with you. Sometimes people do just want to kind of talk about what they're going through. And I think like laying out on the table, you are talking to me. And so as such, I can respond in these ways is really helpful. I was thinking about this also from the perspective of being like a coworker. And I think my answer is probably going to mirror Sumana's answer, which is like, if somebody, even if I know, like if they had already told me that they were experiencing these things outside of work, and I'm coming into work like knowing about it, I think that my kind of gut action would be to offer support. And so, hormonal things, I have gone through that. And I would probably just ask questions, of course, without getting too personal, but like, is there any way that I can help? Or, if things are a little bit too much for you, like maybe we could talk about if I could take some things off of your plate. That way you can, kind of have a little bit more space to be able to manage what you're going through in your personal life. And then I'm the same way. I think that just allowing people the space to talk, and maybe that will come out in the check-in, like checking in on you. How are you doing today? Is there anything that I could do to help? If it is just offering you a listening ear, I am more than happy to offer that. And just really like showing up, as a coworker, but also as a friend, like making sure that people know that you are there to support them. That's the way that I would go.
Okay, so we have a lot of feedback there, and Kairistie, we're going to get to you in a second here. I just wanted to highlight some people that have commented. I did put the link in the chat for you, for anyone who wants to join us on stage, or go ahead and put your question in the chat, and we'll be happy to address it there. I do want to share something that my good friend Mike LeBlanc, who did, I respect tremendously, made a comment here that HR exists to protect the corporation, not the employee. I don't disagree with you very often, Mike, but I disagree wholeheartedly. I'm not saying that this is not reality in some cases, because it is reality for, unfortunately, a lot of cases. But a true HR person is going to protect the corporation and the employee. What has always guided me throughout my 31 years, and everyone who's ever taught me, I take that back. Well, I learned from people who did it messed up too, but for all the good ones that ever taught me, it was about making sure that you did the right thing at the end of the day, and that when it was something that the company made a mistake, that you own it and correct it. If it's the employee that made a mistake, you help them own it, correct it, and move past it and learn from it. So I understand that your experience might definitely have been bad, and that's where I'm very realistic to know that there are a lot of unworthy HR people. But the reality is, there's a lot of unworthy people in any industry. So those people there in HR are meant to be that advocate for the employee. Because I'm going to say something really controversial here, y'all. I can't wait for the DMs after this one. If a union comes into where I work and the employees voted to have a union represent them, then I consider myself as a failure. I failed the employees as far as giving them a voice, making them feel safe, having them be heard, because they felt like they needed someone in. I'm not saying unions are bad, but if someone comes in and my employees felt like they needed a union, then I failed in my job. And that's what a lot of HR people think. Not all, but a lot. So I just want to address that because I think that's important that HR is an avenue if you have the right person. They're supposed to be the avenue. It's in the name. Human resources. They're supposed to be a resource for you when you have these life issues to help guide you, hopefully to the right direction if you need it. Now, the other thing I'll say is this, and this is my personal experience. When I've had people confide in me about things that you just shared, Kairistie, I do my best to help accommodate whatever I can for them and doing it discreetly. Unless they want to share it with their manager or other people, I try to help them find ways to make accommodations to help them through this time period. Because I know that if they're going to be the employee they were before, they just need to get through this time period and they'll get back through it. But sometimes people need help. And I think that's what we have to recognize. Kairistie mentioned vulnerability. That's a huge thing that people are afraid of. Leaders are afraid of being vulnerable, and it's a strength. Like she said, think of it this way: by sharing your vulnerability as a leader, you're showing people that, hey, I'm a leader regardless of this thing that I overcame. So if you are dyslexic, if you have diabetes, if you have anxiety, if you're neurodiverse, whatever it is, and you're a leader, you should wear that badge proudly and say, look, there is a path for everyone. Don't let whatever you're dealing with stop you from reaching that goal. So it's important to support people. And I just want to welcome Gail and Nick and Jay and Mike, of course, and Susan and Charito and Sean and Susan. All right. So we do have Gregory Liverpool in the back here. I'm going to bring him on stage. But Gregory and Marcia. But before we go to Gregory and Marcia, Kairistie, I want to give it back to you and see what your thoughts are about what we shared.
Yeah, and I'm seeing a lot of the comments as well in the chat. There's nothing wrong with supporting your fellow employee, colleague. Doesn't matter if you're in a leadership position or equal status. I mean, we're all equal status, but let's say equal pay / whatever the title is. HR, yes, hired by the company to help the company, but to help the company with employees. And yes, I'm very much oversimplifying things. No, in my opinion, HR should not be handling things that should be handled by third parties, whether that's, of course, medical, you want a doctor, or in areas like my specialty, you want somebody trained within ADR. So again, alternative dispute resolution, not only for the expertise, but also the third party status. Someone like myself has no skin in the game outside of wanting the individual or individuals and or the company to continue succeeding, to help. When an HR department is trained in, say, or individual is trained in, say, mediation and or arbitration, collaborative law, whatever the title and tools, doesn't matter. Well intended, but it's a power imbalance right off the bat. And that power imbalance needs to be handled as primary. And the only way to handle that is by bringing in a third party individual and or organization that is not beholden to the company in any way, shape, or form, just like they are not for that employee, outside of wanting the best for everybody, success for everybody. And I'm again seeing a lot of the different comments, and there's a reason why there's a lot of toxicity out there within many different workplaces. And it's at least in part because there's a lack of separation around bringing in people like myself, trained in areas like myself. There's also, again, well-intended people with wonderful, beautiful empathy, putting themselves in the ultimate of shoe stores because they want to support those around them. And Sure, hearing them out, letting them vent, just being a sounding board. Number one caveat, it has to be confidential. It can't be used, intended or not, for other information or power dynamics again. It has to be a safe space regardless. And where, in my opinion, HR departments are used at least as a resource hub, I think they tend to be a lot more successful. The business or organization tends to be more successful in supporting, whether it's their clients or if it's philanthropic or whatever the reason for that organization to be, their employees, excuse me, team members need to have that extra support, just like any other blood or marriage, whatever related family member would. Again, we're human beings. We do not stop being human just because we've crossed the entrance into a professional part of a professional life, right?
All right. Well, I appreciate that, and I know that we have two people on stage here that have questions. I do have some follow-up questions for you, Kairistie, but I want to get to our wonderful guests that have joined us on stage because they've been patiently waiting. Greg, I'm going to give you the mic. I'm going to ask everyone to keep their questions for Kairistie up to 2 minutes or under 2 minutes so we can get to everybody on stage. So, Gregory, over to you.
I'll yield to Marcia.
Well, that's very kind of you. Marcia, over to you. How are you, my friend? It's great to see you up here. What's your question for Kairistie?
So, Kirsty, I have a question. So, I have a leader. Now I don't really talk to him about anything because Felipe know how I feel as a man, but she always puts God into the equation, and I'm like, everybody practice religion differently. So, how would you go about responding to that?
Okay, so I need to be careful about the personal, right? Because I'm not fully part of I don't have all of the details, so on and so forth. That doesn't mean that I'm not taking in what you're saying. When we're dealing with religion, belief systems, ideology, yeah, one needs to be careful. The workplace, family, society, whatever the environment is, in my opinion, one needs to be careful on being able to host everybody. You don't have to agree with what you're hearing. You don't have to take it in as fact. We can hear each other. We can discuss things and we can disagree or agree depending on what the feelings are, the topics are. Within the workplace, like any other environment, there's going to be different approaches to life, different belief systems. Outside of what is policy and procedure within that organization, so I'll say a business, sure, the policies need to be looked at, adhered to. If it's something that's unhealthy, there needs to be an open space for people to feel safe enough to discuss things without persecution. If it gets to a point where it's gone further than that, then somebody like myself needs to be brought in. If it's already even above that, as far as the culture itself, somebody within, again, workplace restoration analysis to ideally follow through so that there can be implementation of things that will help future success within that group. And success, again, monetary, absolutely. But within that monetary, it needs to include the personal. Am I answering at least part of your question? I
No,
hope I've
not really,
understood
but I
that.
know where you're going because you don't want you don't want to. You walking a fine line, so maybe I probably shouldn't have answered that question. But I want to tell her, please don't talk to that about me because I find it offensive. But then she type her, she'll get mad and she'll tell people just because you believe, everybody don't believe. And I respect that, Christy. I don't talk about religion. Like period. Some things is just not open for discussion. My money and my religion. That's not open for, and very little politics. Just because that's walking a fine line. So thank you for your time. Respect your time. I yield. I yield my time, Christy.
Marcia, in your example, were you saying that the leader was talking about God,
Yeah, the leader. Yep, she big time. She on the executive committee. Yep.
and
Yep.
and I will say this, and I'm no secret. I'm Latino. I'm Catholic. I've been raised this way. I'm strong in my beliefs. But as an HR professional, like I said, there's certain discussions in the workplace that we don't need to bring in there because it just doesn't belong, and people are going to have very strong feelings, and we don't need to have disagreements about it. If people want to have discussions outside the workplace and learn about each other, great. If they want to have a civil conversation at the workplace about it, I can't stop them necessarily. But if somebody's made to feel uncomfortable, you got to respect that. And that leader, I don't care how high up they are, I've had to go to the CEO and say, hey, listen, you've got to stop saying JC, the initials of, in case it,
Yeah, I know you. I know exactly what JC mean, Felipe.
yeah,
But
and because,
go
but
ahead,
here's the
Felipe.
thing: I
Finish.
only had one employee come to me and say, "It just really bothers me when he says it the way he says it," and I just wish he would stop. And I was like, "Look, that's all you need to say." And I went to him. I said, "Look, at least when you're around her, respect her enough not to do it, but it's actually a good practice because you don't know who else it might bother that didn't speak up." And so it has to be addressed at some level, but the right person needs to address it, and that's the challenge, of course.
Well, and the
Okay.
culture as well within the larger workplace, right? There needs to be at least some form of openness, but within that openness, there needs to be psychological safety. And within psychological safety, you need to also be allowed to disagree and it be okay, regardless of what side, what the belief is. If there's look, really what I think I'm hearing is also, again, another power imbalance. Automatically, that is going to be in the back of somebody's mind, especially if they're below in title on what it is that they do within that organization and what's expected of them, which is separate, likely, um, within what that organization is doing and executing, right? So everyone needs to be able to feel safe. And if your belief also isn't safe, meaning yourself, Marcia, forgive me if I've mispronounced your name, you need to be able to also say, look, I'm not comfortable speaking about this. I'm not I'm uncomfortable having larger discussions. I like to focus on what our organization, like what we're here to do. Again, yes, personal follows us in. It's part of who we are. But that doesn't mean that it's a place for grooming for different belief systems. There needs to be an openness to disagree
But
and it
okay,
be okay.
you agree that it's a lot to put on an employee to speak up to their supervisor about. I mean, that is a
Yeah.
very hard situation. So there are people, hopefully, that you trust, you can go to. But Marcia, thank you so much for the amazing
Thank you,
question.
Felipe. Let me
And
hop
before I
on.
move
Hope
on to
you enjoy.
Gregory, want to see if Sumana and Ashley had any feedback or question or follow up on Marcia's comment.
I mean, yeah, I agree. I feel like religion is sticky and tough. And as such, I feel like I'm not the expert to speak on it. So I'll yield my time as well. I think that the way that Kairistie and Felipe both touched on it really was effective and good. Sumana.
I also agree. So yes, I yield my time and over to the next speaker, please.
All right, and again, I will say there are people make mistakes. I've said to somebody who's done a favor for me at work, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, God bless you for that. I appreciate you so much." And I realize, okay, who knows? That may have made them feel uncomfortable. So it's about being emotionally intelligent about who you're around, because everyone's a little bit different. All right, Gregory, Liverpool, thank you for being patient and thank you for being so courteous and letting Marcia go first. Please, what question do you have for Kairistie? Over to you.
Yeah, Kirsty, nice to talk to a fellow Canadian, Western Canadian. I'm from Winnipeg, Manitoba, home of the Grey Cup right now. So yeah, I would love what you said in the top off the top in your introduction really resonated me because I am neurodiverse, autism and ADHD, and in the workplace myself. And I just read chapter 8 of the book called The Canary Code, which basically talked about toxic work environments and bullying and stuff. That I have been a victim many times over of bullying and politics. So many times I have basically lost count. And I would love to know what type of mechanisms or anything of this or tools that I could basically get, I will say, get myself out of these types of workplace relationships, which is basically draining my stress, draining my ability to be fully functionable even outside of work, and overall protect my mental health in regards to this nature and stuff. Because basically looking at the past and stuff, I have not gotten that type of help or support from HR. And right now the chat is very, very uberly hot with I don't think it was Mike with the comments in regards to with the HR type of thing. And I firmly believe that in HR is supposed to be human resources, but I find that I found like a post similar to what Felipe's talked about in my LinkedIn roster scroll, that we have lost that type of humanity in all facets, and this is why it even affects people who are neurodiverse. It's an entirety and stuff. So I just want to know, how can people who are neurodiverse get themselves out of these types of toxic work environments and have allies to help them guide through this and stuff? Because once again, I feel I've been in a lot of toxic work environments, and no one has come to bat in terms of try to protect me and stuff, rather than everyone is hiding behind quote unquote policies and stuff. So yeah.
Are you still in Canada?
Sadly correct, yes.
Okay. Depending on the region, because again, it's legal jurisdiction, there are laws and practices, our constitution, our charter, as well as, bylaws, depends on the city or community that you're in, as well, over and above provincial or territorial law. There are things that the workplace needs to make sure that they're adhering to, things meaning laws, not just their own internal policies, depending on where somebody is located in the world, whether that's Canada, the US, again, the UK, European Union, forgive me, the Commonwealth, or, nation, or depending on where you are in the world, right? Look for that, as well as look for somebody like myself who can, whether it's coaching and or, though that's a fine line, because you can't necessarily turn into coaching an individual into helping, the other side, unless they're, the others, when I say other side, I mean the other party or parties. They need to be aware that there's the one side has been open to, and that they trust that the facilitator can be unbiased and take on other information. Ideally, what tends to work better is bringing in someone like myself in order to help everybody. But where that can't happen, coaching is a great backup. So depending on what jurisdiction you're in within Canada, you definitely have parameters. You definitely have support. There are, occupational health and safety, again, Charter of Rights and Freedoms, and there's organizations within each province as well as territory that support around that. And then the expectations of that organization itself and what they need to be upholding within that provincial and or territorial statute or other nations and their own separate jurisdictions depending on the nation itself. I
All
don't know if
right.
that really helps you, but most neurodiverse, like other minorities, or I don't even like to call it minorities because that's, I don't think, always true to the case, but there's a wealth of knowledge and evolution that neurodiverse people bring that most people don't realize or understand. And forgive me, I cannot remember the title of the latest research. It would have come out in the last few years. And this is an anthropological based research study historically over how different neurodiverse people have helped literally move human evolution forward. So people don't really often realize or recognize the gems that we all have within neurodiversity. It's just a different language. I'm oversimplifying, but there's often different languages that neurodiverse and non-neurodiverse, or combinations of, need to be open to on collaboration.
Well,
We're going
Kairistie,
to work together.
I love that. Great feedback. And Gregory, I hope that was helpful, the feedback she gave you. I know that there's so much more that we could unpack around that question and that issue because it is live and well in a lot of workplaces, unfortunately. One thing I will say before I go to Gregory to see if he has any quick last words is, you know, if you're experiencing that in the workplace, number one red flag is if it's being supported by the top, nothing's being done about it, then it's probably a place for you to start looking for another job or time for you to look for another job. Mike LeBlanc put in here, he got rift for integrity. My job got eliminated because I stood up for the employees. And so they added me to the elimination list. I don't want to be a part of a company that thinks they can be ethical when it's convenient. You're ethical
Oh,
at the time.
well said. Sorry, I
No,
didn't mean
no
to
worries. No
interrupt.
worries.
So well said.
So we're gonna do a lightning round with you, Kairistie, of me, Sumana, and Ashley, of one last question each because we've got 4 minutes left. Gregory, I just want to see, was that helpful for you?
Yes, it was. And Miss Waller, I basically sent out a request to connect request with you. Seriously, when I saw you were from Calgary, Alberta, I'm thinking, okay, at least there is good souls in Western Canada for me to have some support and stuff, because I do not get that support in my local HR circle, never alone my local market here in Winnipeg, Manitoba, sadly. So yeah.
Well, I'm glad you found another great Canadian, as always. I've yet to find a Canadian I haven't liked. I don't know why. I keep on trying to find one I don't like, but I can't seem to find them out there. So, and all right, we have Gregory. I'm going to put you in the back room carefully so don't trip when I move you back there. We do have Martha Lobos Amaya who came up real quick. Martha, you got a 1 minute, last minute question for Kairistie. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. Yes, I have a question about egos in the workplace. Um, basically, how do you address egos? That's my question.
Okay, that's difficult. I think what you mean by ego, so correct me if I'm wrong, please, is power imbalance.
Yes.
Okay, so it doesn't matter what the conflict is, it does not matter. Unless all sides, and I don't even like talking about, or using terms like sides, unless everybody involved is starting from a position, a foundation of equality that is backed up, which is another big reason for going outside of the organization to get, again, somebody who does not have skin in the game outside of wanting everybody to succeed. It's not going to work. There's yet again a reason why many legal jurisdictions are not only just heavily suggesting, they're legally expecting a form of ADR. And a big part of that, again, is the power imbalances. Because when you're just in positions in competition, outsiders are the only ones that win out of that. If there's any win, and there shouldn't be a win, there shouldn't be a win-lose, just like there shouldn't be, okay, I have to, like a win-win, meaning, or a lot of people see that or interpret that as, again, win-lose. There needs to be collaboration in moving forward. Empathy is a shoe store. The best shoe store out there with so many different options. And why is it the best shoe store out there? Not just the great looks, feels, all of that. It's the best understanding, meaning putting ourselves in other people's shoes, other people's experiences, as well as our own, for better understanding, clarity, quote unquote, empathy, support, safety, psychological safety, which includes physical, emotional, financial, the environment itself. Keeping in mind, pretty much every person on this planet has dealt with, been touched, dealing with some form of trauma, including generational trauma. And why does that matter? Because it sets us all up at the individual level. And it doesn't matter if you're in a boardroom, literally with a group of people on the other side of you, negotiating whatever in numbers, multinational, let's say it's a governmental thing, we're dealing with the whatever national debt, there are always the personal, the human elements that are part of this. Even if they're personal human elements, not part of that department, because it's the people that move all of this forward. Always. And they always think that they're, or not always, most of the time, they think that they're doing the best thing and moving the best way forward, which isn't always in the best interest of everybody else.
Thank you, Kairistie, for that. And one thing I'll say for symptoms of egos, if you're wondering if people are making the ego more important than the company or the employees, one sign or a couple signs is if they are throwing around their title a lot, that's a red flag. If they don't ever mention title, I think that's a good sign. Another good sign, they let everyone goes by their first name. That's another sign where people are checking their egos at the door. It's not about their title. It's not about who they are. They're people. So those are just two signs that if people are calling each other by their first name, including the CEO, and you don't hear people throwing, well, I'm the president or I'm the vice president, then that's a positive thing. But if they are throwing those things around, red flag. So Martha, thank you so much for that question. I know we are at 2 minutes over time, but I want to get to these last questions from Sumana, Ashley, and myself. I'm going to carefully move you into the green room, Martha. Please don't trip. We have another guest up here. All right. How are we on time, ladies and gentlemen, or ladies? Are you all available to hang out for another 5 minutes or so?
I'm fine.
Sumana and Ashley?
Sure.
I'm good. Maybe we bring the guest up now, and then that'll be our last.
Well, I do want to get to one last question with you all if you all have time, but if not, we can move on. But let me bring up Sajith Kumar. All right, Sajith, you have 1 minute to ask Kairistie a question, and it's over to you, my friend.
Yeah, I didn't want to come up, and thank you, Felipe and Sumana and Ashley, for wonderful topic as always. A very key thing when you're talking about HR and all those things. So since we had Kairistie, I just wanted to ask her, isn't it foolish to put 8 billion people like 12 signs of characters, and that is what HR is doing, right? Putting people in buckets based on the challenges that they face and trying to solve problems with a very common solution. Is that what you're seeing, and what advice would you give HR when dealing with human problems?
Well, it depends on the problem itself, but in the area or realm that I'm in, it needs to be a third party. And no, people should not be put in just bucket categories. And forgive me, let me know if I've misunderstood you or misheard you. They need to be met where they're at. This opens up something that I wanted to add to the last questions as well. Some of the biggest, if not the biggest thing that I deal with, I look at helping people with is neuro dysregulation. Why is that important? It's not just the neurophysiology, so your nervous system, which includes your brain, your body, it's your reaction or one's reaction, how one's consciously and subconsciously reading their own body's messaging, internal messaging, as well as what they're unconsciously, so needs to be conscious of, as well as recognizing in the body language, neurophysiology of the person or persons in front of them. And why does that matter? Over 68% of our communication is nonverbal. So with our focus of being almost 100%, at least the majority of society, looking 100% or close to verbal responses, reactions, behaviors, they're missing out a whole boat of other, like the big chunk of what is actually being communicated and likely miscommunicated. And then also not keying into the fact that a lot of this is subconscious. So we're not even recognizing why one is being triggered, possibly, meaning reacting to something that should or should not normally, or would not normally bother them. And this isn't just for strategy and, boardroom negotiations. It's across the board. Doesn't matter workplace, family, society, whatever. It's part of our larger communication, regardless of what verbal language or languages we speak. It's not just a one-upmanship on, oh, I can read body language. It's not as cut and dry as that. It's not as easy as that. There's a reason why, courts don't generally recognize, oh my goodness, what do you call it? They hook you up to the devices, reading the neuro signals and stuff, and using that within court. I'm so sorry. My brain is not functioning right now. We need to be incorporating, being taught the verbal and nonverbal languages from early childhood forward. It's never too late. Never too late. It's not just to give an edge for the workplace, society, individual, like relationships. It's also to help with that empathy, to help with that understanding, to help with that larger organizational support of oneself and oneself giving that to the organization.
All right. Well, thank you, Kairistie. And Sajith, thank you for coming up for that question. It was a great question. I'm going to carefully move you back to the green room, so be careful. Don't trip as I move you back there. And Kairistie, we're going to do a lightning round. So we're going to need we want the footnotes answers on these here. So because we are definitely over time, but we want to be able to ask you one last question each. So I'm going to hand it over to Sumana and
Okay.
over to
Sorry, just quickly, lie detector. Thank you, Susan. Sorry,
you.
I'll be quick.
I know. I commented polygraph. I'm like, oh, I think that's what she's talking about. But
That
yes.
too. Thank you.
Loving the conversation, Kairistie. Thank you so much. I know we're over time, so I do want to respect, your content and like everything you've shared. The comment section is unbelievable. We've just been sort of chatting in the background. The one question that I have for you, and I'll just ask you really quickly, just to sort of tie the loop on the beginning of the hour, and this was from Dr. Imran, who was here with us last 2 weeks ago. The question was, other than EAP, what else can employers, and I'm going to probably say in parentheses, managers and leaders, what can they do to support negative personal spillovers onto the work environment? So other than EAPs, and one option that he suggested was employee-run peer support groups. Can they be formed in the workplace in a private, compliant manner? So have you seen that? And what else can we do other than EAP? Well, besides hiring you, of course.
Well, number one, not necessarily hiring me, but somebody like me. And the reason for that, no, not business for myself. It's literally the platforms, tools, and again, no skin in the game outside of wanting to see success for everybody involved. It's just so crucial. Also, where organizations, when able, to start out of the gate in as healthy, welcoming manner as they can. When that's not been able to or hasn't happened, just again, doing a health check. A health check on business is bringing in a workplace restoration specialist, and which also includes things like mediation, arbitration, hybrid forms of that, coaches, so on and so forth, within the dispute resolution world. And that doesn't mean, again, when something goes wrong to fix an argument, it's to help culture, it's to help communication loops, including those that have come from an individual's childhood forward, and to give as best as one can, depending on, how many options, hours, so on and so forth are afforded within the package, and continuation of, again, a health check, health checkup, as well as follow up or emergency. I just continually see as so key and important, as well as giving the edge, even just on, it doesn't matter, sales teams, marketing, business development, whatever the titles are, HR, leadership, management, on how to communicate, which includes bringing in money, so negotiation tactics, which includes communication, support. And again, I talk about it as like when one learns, because we have to start off with the basics, so the alphabet. One's own body alphabet needs to happen first. Once that communication is understood, then we start seeing it in other people. Not that we're all exactly the same, but we see the similarities depending on what alphabet it is, right? There's the English, there's French, there's Spanish, there's all the different forms of language. It's the same thing within our bodies, which are just as key as our verbal societal languages. I hope that helped at least.
All right.
Other
Ashley.
part.
Ashley.
Right. Did you? Okay, cool. Cool. Well, so my question for you, Kairistie, is it revolves around discomfort, because I know that you are navigating a lot of kind of uncomfortable conversations. And, as an artist and in my workshops, I'm working with other artists and students. And I've seen how being uncomfortable can lead to some like real breakthroughs in the process. So I just want to get your opinion on like how, if you can put words to maybe how we could reframe conflict or discomfort as a step that's more like generative rather than something to suppress or something that we need to be fearful of.
Love it. Yeah, sitting in discomfort, learning about one's own and other individuals' dysregulation and how to help around that dysregulation, whether it's mirroring healthier ways of regulation as well as direct communication styles, changing the narrative, reframing narratives, literally at words. Like, for example, I was helping a couple about 2 months ago with it was a divorce and separation, or sorry, separation and divorce. And it was literally, no, these are my kids, as opposed to these are our kids. One simple word, the intent is not to shut out the other. The intent is good, but they don't understand the impact of a simple word like my versus our and the camaraderie within that.
I love that. Thank you.
That was awesome. All right. So, and before I ask my question, I just want to say I love what you've shared. It is such a great, context you shared around just for leadership, for individuals in the workplace, for HR professionals, and that communication, Ashley and just want to know that we do a lot about communication styles and how people have different styles. And it comes down to being emotionally intelligent to know if you're going to be a leader, you've got to be in tune to the people that you're leading. And if you're not emotionally intelligent to be able to do that and understand that, you got to be able to be agile and pivot when needed to help accommodate what they're going through sometimes, then maybe you shouldn't be a leader. But my question for you, Kairistie, is this. What advice do you have for HR professionals out there? Because reality is everything you talked about here are very much on the human side. And I always am trying to emphasize the human and human resources. AI is here. AI is slowly taking over tasks. And some of the tasks that we have that AI is not currently focused on are things like compassion, communication styles, things of that sort. So, what advice do you have for HR professionals out there to help them realize that these conversations, these topics are not just important, but they're vital to the future of an organizational success, but also HR success?
We have a voice, we have a say, and we need to speak to our leaders within our nations. So in Canada, provinces, territories, US states, districts, sorry. We need to be speaking up. We know that our voice is important. At the most, and I'm really oversimplifying, at our most basic, or one's most basic, when growing up, so utero birth forward, survival and autonomy are key. And we often give up autonomy for survival. So a roof over our head, meals, whatever. And this isn't necessarily a conscious thing that we, or conscious decision that we as children make. We don't realize a lot of what's happening. We just know that's my caregiver or caregivers, and I've got to do what they say. And then that grows into the larger community, mentors, the workplace, so on and so forth. Our voice matters more today than it ever has. And if we don't use it, then we're only focusing on survival as opposed to surviving and ideally thriving with also autonomy, which also means resilience. Resilience isn't just a tag word like empowered. I'm resilient. It's an actual meaning, which takes not necessarily a direct formula, but a path and a choice. And using our voice collectively and individually is so key. AI, yeah, great tool, but it cannot replace key things like humanity. We are the only humans on this planet. We need to speak up for ourselves.
Well said. Thank you so much for that, Kairistie. Sumana, I know you have to take off, so I want to hand the mic over to you to give you a chance to give any final thoughts and anything else you might have coming up.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, Kairistie and Felipe and Ashley, and the folks who've joined us from all over the world. I really appreciate all the comments. I'm honestly in awe with the, just not just the number of comments, but the depth of the comments that have come tonight. And I really do want to thank Kairistie. What's coming up for me is just one event. Jeddy Wellness is just hosting our final Workplace Wellness Hour highlights show with all my ambassadors on November 19th. And we do that typically in November. And that's just going to be all the strategies, the best strategies that we've had over the course of the year. So we're going to do that audio event on November 19th. I'll post that link on my page probably tomorrow, but it's on the Jeddy Wellness page as well. If you'd like to attend, please do. I'd love to see some of you or all of you there. But besides that, I just want to thank Kairistie so much. I appreciate your time, and I will hopefully catch up with you after this event as well, and we can debrief, and hopefully you've enjoyed your time with us. I'll pass it over to Ashley, and I'll say good night to everybody just because I am with family and my nephew wants to hang out, so I really have to go. Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Bye, Sumana. Have a good night. And thank you for passing over to me. I also just, this was such a great episode, and Kairistie, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and, really like teaching. I always say that I feel like I learn getting to be a part of the show, and I've definitely learned a lot tonight. So thank you for that. What I have coming up, every Sunday, we have a moment to make, which is our virtual artist space. Folks bring their projects. My counselor friend curates the vibe. She creates a playlist for us, and we just parallel play for an hour. It's a chance for us to make time in our calendars for our creativity and hold ourselves accountable with other people. So that will be happening on Sunday, and that's all I have. Felipe, I can pass it over to you.
Thank you, Ashley. And, I'm looking forward to what you have coming up. And thank you all that joined us here today. I just want to give a shout out to just everyone that came out and just supported it. We had over 200 comments in the chat. It was on fire for sure. And I just appreciate all the great questions. If we did not get to your question, we will get back to you in the chat and respond to you. But as far as for me, I have a few things coming up. Let's see. Tomorrow is no. On Saturday, I have the Social Saturday chat crew and I will be doing another room, and it will be from my homepage. And so that will be coming up very soon. And then also on the Sunday right after that, I'll have a show about budgeting for the holidays with Melissa Houston for Careers, Chaos, and Coaching. And then I also have the Spanish version of Miranda and Max, in case anyone's interested. That is coming out soon, but Miranda Max is the children's book. So if you have a child in your life, or if you have a friend who just had a child, great book for them to have. And book number 2 is almost done. And if you wouldn't mind, I would appreciate anyone that gives us a follow on our YouTube channel here. My YouTube channel allows me to have playlists for the Workplace Wellness Hour, as well as Careers, Counseling, Coaching, and other events that we do. And it's a great chance for us to really have a simple place for everyone to see our past episodes so they can check it out. Because we do audio only, it is categorized as a podcast on YouTube. So you can check out the Workplace Wellness Podcast on YouTube here by scanning the QR code and subscribing to that channel. I guess my last thoughts about this comment here, Kairistie, is that, I think this is such an important topic to keep on talking about. The workplace is continuing to evolve. the reality is that we need more and more leaders that are focusing on the human factor. There's so much that goes into that, and people need to remember that we all have life challenges. And as a leader, don't wait for you to have life challenge to be emotionally intelligent enough to recognize when someone else might be having one. Because a lot of times we're not going to be able to understand what they're going through, but we can be emotionally intelligent enough to know that they're having a difficult time and they might need some help. And I think people like Kairistie out there are offering some great help and services to provide. And Kairistie, what else, any last words, and what else can they do to find you outside of your website that I'm about to put up here? Any last words?
Thank you. And sorry, just quickly, Ashley, with what you were talking about, and Suna, talk about community interaction, getting our nervous system communication. Sorry, I'm tongue tied tonight. Like literally communicating with each other. There's a reason why our nerve trail, which includes our brain, is far bigger, longer than our skin, which is the biggest organ. We need to connect. We're built for connection. And really, your voice matters. Every voice matters. So become a leader of a shoe store, meaning empathy, putting oneself in other people's shoes to support all the different types of shoes and backgrounds, and be as inclusive as possible. Where help is needed, please reach out to somebody like myself. It does not have to be me, but somebody who is properly trained, is a third party. Again, no skin in the game outside of wanting people to succeed, because AI can never take that over. It doesn't matter how great the marketing is and the messaging. We all know humans need to deal with human beings. We're built for it. To get a hold of me, yes, experienceadr.com, as well as you can reach me on LinkedIn through the Experience, again, Experience ADR, or my first and last name, Kairistie Walker.
Well, Kairistie Walker, thank you again for just an amazing, amazing evening. We appreciate you taking time to be with us and share your knowledge and experience. And again, it's something I think is important for everyone to remember, especially if you are currently a leader or striving to be a leader. My last words to any HR leaders out there: start leaning into that human side of yourself, because AI can pretty much start taking care of all the other stuff that you do. So if you don't have those skills as a human being, you might become obsolete. So I challenge you all to remember that emotional intelligence is a skill, and it's a chance for you to demonstrate how to use it in the workplace. So with that being said, Ashley, have a great 2 weeks, and I'll see you here in 2 weeks along with Sumana. And I hope you're enjoying Las Vegas as much as possible. Did you make that bet for me on a black number 8?
Not yet, but I will.
All right, everyone. Well, listen, take care, stay safe, and above all, make sure that you make your wellness a priority, your mental, physical, and financial wellness. Have a great night, everyone, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Adios.
United, together, here we stand. Sumana, Ashley, Felipe, your workplace wellness hour band, where culture meets health and wisdom takes hold. Fresh perspectives and insights unfold, building stronger teams, brighter paths ahead, a workplace where passion and purpose are fed. Join us, engage and elevate your game. Wellness that works, put There's practical magic for all.